Okay, class, welcome. I'm going to show you the specifications for the Gatsby project. I am not going to put this in writing and hand out to everybody or post it on Edmodo. It's only going to be in the video. Even though what you're looking at on the screen is actually typed, I will not be posting the typed version on Edmodo. The groups have changed, so do not think that as I get into this that you are working with your classcraft group. I've actually decided to randomize the groups completely, and you will see at the end of the video the randomized picker picking your groups. Okay, so the specifications. The first thing is you are going to make a video of a talk show. So this book very easily lends itself to the gossipy, the emotional, the talk show aspect. I highly suggest that you go and watch a couple examples of the talk shows that you're going to have options to pick from. There are 5 hosts because we will have 5 groups. So there we go. There will be 5 groups, so there will be 5 hosts, and they are very specific hosts that I will show you in just a moment, which ones you'll be picking from on Thursday. So each group will consist of 5 people. It'll have a host. That's your person hosting your show and leading in characters, asking questions, guiding through the process, and then you will have 4 characters. The 4 characters is your minimum. Because there are 7 characters actually listed here. You can use more than the 4, but you have a time constraint, so I really highly suggest that you focus on just 4 and your host. Okay, your other options are Nick, Gatsby, Daisy, Tom, Myrtle, George, and Jordan. It's your option which ones you choose, and grades are not going to be higher because you choose certain ones over the other. It's how you actually portray them and use them. Okay, so looking at our hosts, there are 5 hosts here, 5 specific styles. Again, I highly suggest you going to YouTube or Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu or whichever streaming service you use and watching at least one episode, full episode of your host in action. Because you need to follow the same style of that talk show. So how they open it, how they act, how they do with the characters, you need to go within that same style. So I highly suggest you do that either as a group or individually and come together with notes. On Thursday, there will be something specific that we do in class that will be how we're picking the hosts per each group. Today you will know your group members, and you could start getting some specifications around, different characters and filming and where to do it at and stuff like that. But on Thursday we will pick the hosts. Okay, so the first one is Ellen. Ellen is fun. She's always dancing. She's energetic. If you have Ellen, I highly suggest that you be dancing in that video in some aspect. Okay, she still is serious in her moments, but she's also very much into music and dancing. Okay, number 2 is Oprah. She's crying, she's sad, it's sympathetic, it's emotional. Going along with that, though, to kind of balance the emotional aspects, she's always giving away stuff to her audience. So there should be some balance and relevance in there and stuff like that. Maury Povich, or the Maury Show, he loves DNA tests, and he does the DNA test in a very specific way. And those usually cause anger, and it causes an emotional show. So someone comes on the show when they don't know who the father is, and aspects like that. So if you get Maury, I would definitely be going with Gatsby, Tom, Daisy. You could make and add in some other things in there, but that gets you 3 characters in there, and then who else is your option. But showing the DNA test in a certain way is very important. I'm not going to tell you what that is now, because you need to do the research on that. The next one is Jerry Springer, or the Jerry Show. Or the Jerry Springer Show. His characters are always fighting with each other. They're angry at each other. They're emotional. They hit each other with chairs. So looking at that, it's very obnoxious and uncontrolled aspects. Now, the last one is looking at the idea of a late night talk show host. So we have Jimmy Fallon, David Letterman, and Jay Leno are no longer talk show hosts, but you can pick them. You can go with Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel. Those are the main 5 big ones. So you would be picking your own late night host, and they would go in the same style of the show that you pick. So if you do David Letterman, there's probably going to be a top 10 list. If you do Jimmy Fallon, you're probably going to play games with your audience or sing a song, or not with your audience, with your characters, or you're going to sing a song with them. So keeping in mind how the host does it is important. They ask lots of questions. There's lots of silly jokes and games and playing. There's barely any emotion or substance, and it's more gossipy than it is actually emotional. So it very much is the antithesis of Oprah. Okay, so those are the 5 hosts. Videos must be 5 to 7 minutes in length. We're just showing all 5 videos in the same day, keeping in mind for transitions as well from video to video. 5 to 7 minutes. 5 is the base of what your main video has to be, and then if you want to include any outtakes or bloopers, they have to be above or start after 5 minutes, but they still must be included in the 7-minute aspect. And again, they're not required. They're not part of your grade. It's just if something funny or hilarious happens when you're filming and you want to share it with the class and have us laugh with you, more fun to it. Okay? But again, if you reach past 7 minutes, we're going to turn off your video. So please do not go over 7 minutes. So the next thing, costumes and props are encouraged and will get better grades. I want you to be serious. I want you to get into the show. I want you to get into being the host. I want you to get into the character roles. Guys should probably be wearing suits or sweater vests or something that shows the money and the lavishness. Girls probably wearing dresses and jewelry and makeup and, show off the money. And the host should probably look somewhat similar to the host. So in previous years, because I've done this project now for 3 years, in previous years I've actually had people who, like Oprah, have actually done like the black wig, painted their face black. You don't have to go to the extreme of painting your face black, but I do expect you to take on the role of your host, take on the role of your character. Okay, the host's role is to introduce the show, introduce the characters, ask the questions, and actually fill in the basic aspects of running the show. And if there's a game or a song or something like that, they control that. The character's job is to answer the questions, noticing this in character. Okay, that is really important. So if you're Gatsby, you should be saying old sports. If you're Daisy, you should be acting kind of dumb and blonde and flightish. Okay, so keeping that in mind is important. The grade is 50 points. The grades will be distributed equally amongst the group if everyone has an equal part. What I mean by this is everyone can easily get 100% if everyone partakes properly in the project. If someone has problems showing up to filming and is not really involved and shows up for a whole 3 seconds in the video and just says one line, I'm not going to give them the same grade that everyone else has. So keeping that in mind is important. You have 2 weekends to do this. You have 2-day weekend this weekend, and you have a 4-day weekend next weekend. The due date is the 8th. Yes, you have powers if you want to move it to the 9th, but again, that is your option. I prefer to do this all on one day and not take it over 2 days, because at the same time we're going to be starting A Streetcar Named Desire, so I'm only going to allow it to be postponed a day if all groups are using that power, not just if one group is using it. So keeping that in mind is important. Okay, so you guys would talk about that as a class as we get closer to it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and switch screens here. You're going to see a double screen happen, and we're going to go ahead and pick the groups. Oh man, it does that all the time. Hold on. Okay, so it's going to pick the groups. I'm going to be typing at the same time I'm going to be picking, and this is completely random, and you see it. It's important that you pay attention to your group. There is no switching of groups. So pay attention to that. So group 1 is going to have Diana and Stepan. And Victoria and Rita M. And rounds it out with Michelle. Okay, group 2 is going to be Edwin and Brianna. Another thing I wanted to emphasize before I go on is that you do not have to stick with the basic gender roles of males play male parts, females play female parts, especially since our class is much more female than male. So you can definitely play with the gender roles a little there. Gatsby still needs to stay a male, Daisy needs to stay a female. It's just a matter of if you're playing a male role, I expect you to dress male. If you're playing a female character, I expect you to have some aspect of femininity there. Okay, Rita K and Maudium are added to this. And to round out group number 2, we have Leanna. Okay, group number 3 is Maudine and Ani S. Ani K and Yelena. And finishing off that group is Lilith. So it looks like none of the twins are ending up in the same group together. Group number 4, we have Julia and Norar. Angela and Talar. And finally, Tanya. That group got lucky in the fact that they have 2 guys in there, whereas we're gonna have 2 groups that have no guys at all. And the last group is Lily and Ashley. And Savannah and Julie. And finally, Audax. Okay, so these are your groups. We'll be discussing just for a fraction of a time them in class on Thursday, and on Thursday you will also be picking your host, but it's very specific to how you will be doing that. I will not be posting the study guide until late on Wednesday for the test on Friday because I don't want to have spoilers out there when students need to continue to read through the end of chapter 8. 9 doesn't have all the spoilers, they come at the end of 8. So being very specific on that is important. I will see you in class hopefully on Wednesday, and if not, on Thursday. Have a good day.